if you have no background at all. Maybe you don't have to do an intense certification like maybe doing a 2-year program or not. There are a lot of colleges that offer.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Immigrant. If it's your first time, my name is Sagar and on this channel I bring individuals from various academic and professional backgrounds to help you with your decision to study or work in Canada. In today's video, we will cover some of the common questions that I received from you guys on the video that I did with Arjun on scope of supply chain in Canada. And today, his wife Shirin will be answering those questions. Shirin has done an amazing job in building her career in supply chain with no prior work experience or related education whatsoever. I will try to cover more of your questions in my future videos. Having said that, without any further ado, let's dive into our today's video. Hi Shirin, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining in.
Hi Sagar, thank you so much. It's definitely my pleasure, in conversation with you.
Perfect. So, if you can introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yeah, of course. So I am from Bangalore, India. I've born there, raised there, lived there. So hardcore Bangalorean, I would say. So I'm like, my parents are from self-employed background, and right after my 10th, we had this intense discussion: what area should I choose, whether it's going to be science or commerce. I just told my mom, I'm going to choose anything that doesn't have maths. So I decided to go with science, thinking, I can get into biochemistry where I really don't have a lot of math. So I graduated from Jain University, which is one of the deemed universities in Bangalore, India. So I did my bachelor's in biotechnology, genetics, and biochemistry. And then out of all these three, I thought biochemistry was much more simpler and easier. So I said, okay, let me pursue that as a master's. So I got my master's with biochemistry. I almost, it took me 2 years to finish that. And right after that, I moved to Canada with my husband. And it's been a great journey so far. And right now, I am working for Spin Master. It's a global based toy company. I take care of their end-to-end supply chain process.
That's pretty interesting. So, as you mentioned that you did your master's in biochemistry before moving to Canada, and I guess you would be the best person to answer this question: that how someone with completely different educational background, let's say for example, someone from b.tech in mechanical construction, IT, or some other sector, if they're planning to move to Canada and if they're planning to get into supply chain, what advice would you like to give to people like that?
Of course. So number one, I would definitely recommend or advise to be highly adaptable because this country is the survival of the fittest. So be adaptable for a lot of changes. And talking about switching industries, it is definitely hard. It takes at least 2 to 3 years for you to get a complete understanding of how the industry works, what are the right practices, what are the best practices, even in every industry, there are different sectors that you can probably work in. Like for in supply chain, you can be in procurement, you can be in manufacturing, you can be in logistics. So it definitely takes 2 to 3 years for somebody to get a good understanding. But to begin with, to understand what the industries, what helped me or what I did was associate with the people who are already in the industry. Where I went on a lot of coffee chats. I understood what they do. Is that something really meant for me? To be honest, jumping into supply chain was an accident for me. I somehow developed interest talking to a lot of people. It was not a planned event. Like my husband is into supply chain, so automatically when I came into Canada, all of our immediate network was into supply chain. So when I probably I rubbed shoulders with all of those guys, I kind of developed interest into supply chain. So one thing I would definitely recommend is going to a lot of coffee chats if you are planned that you want to get into supply chain. You can talk to them about what their day-to-day activities are or what departments they work in, how their day looks like. And second thing is I would recommend is certifications. If you have no background at all, maybe you don't have to do an intense certification like maybe doing a 2-year program or not. There are a lot of colleges that offer 4-month bridging programs, which gives you an overview of what you can expect, just an bird view of what the industry is. Yeah, I think these two would definitely helped me. I didn't do a certification because I had a lot of professional network. I had a lot of coffee chats, and the best part for me was I got to shadow my husband's work. So every time he got a chance to work from home, I used to sit next to him and see what he does. I could overhear the meetings and all of that. So if you have a network who can guide you through that process, probably show you what they do, and if you get a chance to job shadow them, and then you can probably take a decision if you want to move in. If yes, then what department? I hope I answered your question.
Perfect. No, that's a wonderful point of networking. Even Arjun, I remember he emphasized that the networking, right? Though my question is, for example, let's say if I'm not here, I'm planning to move to Canada. I'm just in a planning phase, and again, as I mentioned, that I have a background in engineering. So, what uh, advice would you like to give for people? What type of program should they go for?
Okay, so if they are surely coming for educational purposes and they want to pursue that as a program, then of course, Seneca has some really good supply chain courses. They have like 1 year program for supply chain. They have 1 year international business management. So you just get an you get to understand the global business and 1 year of supply chain. Or there is for the 4 month bridging program that I told you, if in case you're transitioning in, like if you're coming in as PR, but you really don't want to study. It's like if I came in as a PR holder and I would probably not study after 7 years of masters. So if you are somebody like that, then I think a 4 month bridging program, I think Humber offers that program, Humber or Sheridan, I'm not too sure. So they can adopt that 4 month bridging program. Seneca offers a lot of programs. They also have something exclusively for transportation and logistics, so they can choose either of those programs too. They're like 1 year and 2 year programs, so you can choose that. Yeah.
And if you remember, I'm sure it would be one of the biggest decision of your life to have a career transition. If you still remember how long it took for you to get your first job.
It took me 8 to 10 months. So first 6 months I was completely unemployed, but after that I had to make a step into the industry. Of course, because I was fairly new, I had to understand how the Canadian culture and the business works. So for me to get my dream job or the ideal job that we all come dreaming for, it took me almost 8 to 10 months.
And some advice on that as well, how to get a first job.
How to get your first job? Make a entry to the industry first. First job is never going to be your dream job. You will never be happy with the pay, you will never be happy with the office, you will never be happy. But making an step into the industry is very crucial. And once you are aware of the Canadian culture, once you are aware of how the businesses work, and then you can build the network internally. Networking applies before getting job and even after getting job. So you having a strong network even once you get a job to move in internally plays a very important role. So I had to make I just like I started interviewing. I applied like probably 50 100 jobs every single day, and it took me like I had to start off with a call center, to be honest, because I had no Canadian education. All I knew was like when talking to people. So I said, you know what, let me just understand how the Canadian culture works. So I started off with a customer service role. I worked there like for probably 3 months. And then I got a chance to get into the supply chain company. I work for a company called Acklands Granger. So it's an industrial based company. So that was my first step. So that period was really good because it was fairly new, everything was exciting. So when I went in there, I internally made those connections as well, and then I eventually moved to different companies.
Perfect. Shirin, what do you think is the scope of supply chain, logistic or related field in Canada? If someone was still in that planning phase, would you recommend it as a career?
Yeah, of course. Like every so just to give an overview for people, if supply chain is fairly new to them. So what is supply chain is nothing but movement of goods from the manufacturer to the consumer. And we all have so much of consumption that we do on a daily basis. And every company should have a product or a service. That is how they're a company, that's how they get revenue. So because everyone has a product or a service, they need a supply chain team. So now you can understand how Canada runs and the number of companies that they have and the amount of roles that you can definitely get in. So definitely a good scope if you love talking to people, if you love supply chain is nothing but movement of goods, but movement of information as well. So you got to work with a lot of cross-functional teams, correlate and work with them, be on top of the toes if you love being, having busy calendars. So definitely there's a lot of scope, considering that every business has a product or a service. So if they have a product or a service, there is scope for you. So of course, yes.
And this is a question that caught my eyes before the video I have with Arjun. That is it a good course for girls? If you can share your thoughts on that as well.
Okay. Just to be funny, I try sometimes. No job description says male required. Okay. So that just means the role is open for everyone. Yes, maybe certain roles require a lot of physical demand, which probably narrows down to men when it comes to the strength. But there are definitely quite a lot of roles. Like I work for Spin Master, and we are probably a team of 40 in my team. I would say probably 5 to 7 of them are guys, everybody are women. And the entire management for us is women. We have 3 different teams, everything is led by women. My husband works for a company, his leadership is also women, he's senior director, vice president. So there are so many success stories that I have seen personally. As you grow into the industry, Sagar, you will be able to see that. And definitely the concept of supply chain did exist before, but the enhancement or the spotlight has come in probably near times, like fairly new. So definitely the ratio is very high for men compared to women, but we can outperform, and there is no limitations when it comes to the industry. Yes, only for certain physical roles. But if you think you will be able to manage the physical roles, I think you can go for that too. So definitely there is a lot of scope. Being in supply chain, you need to multitask. I think women are really good at that. So you have a lot of scope. Yeah.
All right, Sharon, that's all. Thank you so much for your time once again on this Sunday evening on your day off. I wish you all the best and a lot more success in the future.
Thank you so much, Sagar. And I see you doing a great job. So thank you so much for bringing information to people and educating them and empowering them. We definitely need a lot more of people like you who's giving back to the society. So I really appreciate you doing all the work. And thank you for having me over, of course.
Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Smash that like button if you find it helpful. Comment below for any questions or a topic you would like me to cover in my upcoming videos. Do subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I wish you guys all the best. Stay safe, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.